Every generation is ruled by a hidden code. It means in the game of influence, who you become, the level of your influence is proportional to the language you speak. Some speak the language of politics, some speak the language of religion, some speak the language of culture. But a generation that will shape the world must speak the language of creativity. People who discovered this code early have now built a system that every other person is dependent on. In other words, the highest level of influence is when you build what every other person must depend on. So if you must be influential, you must speak the superior language. Influence is in cadre. You can be influential at local level. You can be influential at national level. You can be influential at global level. All depends on the language you speak. I have mentioned earlier, the common language people speak is the language of politics, the language of religion, and the language of culture, of which all these languages have limitation. Let's look at politics, for instance. Politics is controlled by rules and laws. Your sphere of influence is even determined geographically. It means you can only influence a nation because no matter your political title, you cannot influence decision making in another country. In fact, even within countries, there are levels. We have the three levels of government. We have the federal, the state, and the local government. The language of politics is limited. If you come to religion, you will discover that not everybody believes in the same thing. We have various religions, and the influence you command doesn't go beyond your religion. When we come to culture, culture also is diversified. We have different culture depending on countries, depending on even geographical locations. So influence within culture also has limitation. If you want to influence the world, as I've said earlier, you must speak the language of creation. That is the language designed by God for global influence. Creation or creativity is not limited by belief, it's not limited by culture. A good example is a phone works either you believe in it or not. Internet connection works whether you agree, you believe or not. So in creativity, things are produced that cross borders, that solve real life problems, things that don't need translation, things that scale globally. For example, a product, a system, a technology can travel anywhere, can reach everybody. One intervention can affect millions, even billions of people. So, this is to say, the highest level of influence is the ability to create what others depend on. The first thing God revealed about himself is not holiness, is not judgment, is not law. The first thing that God revealed about himself is creative intelligence. In Genesis chapter 1 verse 1, In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. That opening statement is not a religious poetry. It is a declaration of how power operates. God's authority flows from what He created. His ownership flows from what He produced. His supremacy flows from value. And even when God created man, He did not change the pattern. Genesis chapter 1 verse 1 reveals the first law of dominion, the foundation of power, and the blueprint of relevance in every generation. Before God gave laws, He demonstrated capacity. Before He issued commandment, He revealed competence. Before He demanded obedience, He showed creativity. God began with creativity because it is the highest expression of intelligence, because it takes thought, it takes imagination, it takes planning, it takes execution, it takes persistence. Creativity is not randomness, it is an organized intelligence producing value. By beginning with creation, God was teaching us something critical, which is life responds to creators, not observers, because creation precedes control. Now look at the order. God created, He named, He organized, and He now governs. This is to say, ownership follows creation. Control follows contribution. God owns the universe because He created it. In Psalms 24 verse 1 says, "The earth is the Lord's, and its fullness thereof." The same principle applies to economy, to leadership, and to every sphere of life. Value creates authority. Individuals, organizations with the most power are not the ones with the most title, but those that create the most value. For example, Apple dominated technology. Microsoft dominated productivity. Google dominated information. Dangote dominated industries. It means power follows creation. Power follows creativity. In Genesis chapter 1 verse 26, "And God said, Let us make man in our own image." The image of God here is not physical resemblance, but functional resemblance. It means, since God is a creator, everyone created in the image of God possesses that capacity. Therefore, creativity is not a gift for few. It is a default design for all human beings. When God commanded Adam in Genesis chapter 1 verse 28, "Be fruitful and multiply," the original meaning is be productive and generate value, because productivity is the proof of image. Creativity is the foundation of dominion. God's command to have dominion was built on creative foundation. Dominion is not given, it's earned through value creation. You cannot dominate what you cannot produce for. You cannot rule what you cannot improve. You cannot influence what you cannot add value to. Creativity is the gateway to dominion in business, in ministry, in art, in nation building. When creativity is absent, control is impossible. Stop seeing creativity as optional. Start seeing it as your mandate. Identify problem around you and ask, what can I create to solve this? Shift from waiting for opportunity and start creating value. Begin documenting ideas daily. Commit to building even when it doesn't look perfect. Let's look at how creativity is the highest currency of power. Power has never been equally distributed, but it has always been predictable. Across civilization, economy, generation, the same pattern keeps repeating itself. Those who create control, and those who do not must negotiate for access. Power is not first politics. Power is not first financial. Power is not first positional. Power is first creation. Creativity is the highest form of intelligence, and so therefore is the highest form of power. Power flows from value. No one controls what does not produce value. Influence does not come from titles. It comes from contribution. Authority does not come from force. It comes from usefulness. Ownership does not come from desire. It comes from creation. God does not rule the universe because he declared himself as ruler. He ruled the universe because everything exists because of him. That means creativity established his rulership. Genesis chapter 1 verse 1, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Psalm 24 verse 1, the earth is the Lord and its fullness thereof. This is Clarity Room. Please do not forget to like, share, subscribe as we keep you posted in our Clarity Room podcast. See you next week, Friday.